brought in to shore up Sunderland and make them difficult to beat. And that is exactly what they've been. But Sunderland again going forward here. And how about that for a strike at Wembley Stadium from Elliot Embleton? His heart beats for Sunderland. A goal which means the world to him, his city, his people. For Stuart! Sunderland took over Trafalgar Square last night. Now they're taking over football's most famous landmark. Sunderland have been chasing rainbows in playoffs past, but this is the year they find the playoff pot of gold. They're back in the Championship. The League One misery is over.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the ROKER RAPPORT podcast. I'm not even going to do my full intro. I'm knackered. I can barely talk. I've just got my voice back this morning. It's very early Monday morning as we record this, and I sound like I watched Sunderland get beat at the weekend, but I didn't. I've just got no voice. Of singing far too much and drinking too much and just being a general clip around London. And we thought, well, we'll save the footy chat for another day because the two men joining us are both as pagged as I am. And we thought, why not talk about our experience of the weekend rather than the football and maybe just talk about how hungover we all are. So joining me today is Craig Chapman, sat in his dressing gown there, looking absolutely done in. Hiya, Craig.
I am so hungover. I am absolutely hanging out of my arse here. And to think, I mean, that was like a League One playoff final, so imagine if we were any good at some point in future, I'd literally be on death's door. And I'm not far from it now.
I said that to me mate. I was like, imagine if we got to Europe and we were like playing away every other week around the globe. I'd be dead. Seriously, I wouldn't survive it. I just wouldn't. Because one weekend in London's killed us off, yeah. Like, I'm absolutely knackered. And also joining us today is Chris Wynn, who has his shades on, I think, which is telling.
I'm joining you in body, I'm not sure in mind.
I think people listening to this are going to sympathise. I don't think there'll be many Sunderland fans who aren't starting this week as done in as... Well, yeah, everyone's as done in as us, I think. I can't even get my words out. That's how knackered I am, my voice and everything. I couldn't talk yesterday. Like, we were on about doing a podcast yesterday and I said I genuinely have no voice. Today I've woke up and I can just about manage some words. So yeah, if you're joining us and you're wondering why we're not jumping around and mental and stuff, we're on a massive come down from the weekend. But the weekend itself, then I want to talk about it a little bit because it was, I've said it a few times, from my mind, I don't think I've had a better experience as a Sunderland fan. Just the weekend as a whole. Even the game, I've seen us beat Newcastle numerous times, and that's always been great. I saw us promoted under Peter Reid twice. I saw us promoted under Roy Keane. I saw us promoted under Mick McCarthy. And none of it was as good as that. None of it. That was a League One playoff final weekend, and we just made the most of every second as a fan base. From the night before, people piling in at Covent Garden, Trafalgar Square, all the pubs around London. And then the next day, it was the best day of my life as a fan. Would anyone disagree? That was crazy, wasn't it?
Well, I don't know. I can't really remember, to be honest, Gav. I think it was. but it was funny because what you were saying there, you know, that the whole experience was such that I remember speaking to you, Gav. I mean, we only bumped into each other for 5 minutes, but we were saying everything else. It kind of got rid of the nerves for the match, didn't it? because I remember
Yeah.
because everything was so up. I mean, the whole thing was upbeat. It didn't feel like a nervous atmosphere, did it? I don't know what you think. It didn't feel like a nervous atmosphere. I thought everything was just kind of, we almost turned up just to win. It had that feeling about it, didn't it? And when in the morning when you're meeting up with people, it was like, we're just going to go there and smash it and get it done. And everything around it just made everything feel so kind of up and positive that you kind of, well, at times you were like, oh yeah, we've got to go for kickoff at 3:00 because everything.
Well, I was talking more before the game, Craig, about Trafalgar Square, and I just couldn't wait to get there. Like we put like a couple of bits out on the site during the week talking about how people needed to maybe just consider think about like the Charlton game and how hungover everybody was and the atmosphere was rubbish, and should we maybe think a little bit more about that so that on match day we're all up for it. That went up 8:00 in the morning. I was on the train with a can and gin and tonic, and I was that totally went out the window. I'm a massive hypocrite, but I just enjoyed myself so much. It was from the minute we set off, it just felt to me like it was always going to be our weekend. I never felt like we were ever going to lose that game. I know we're not going to really talk about the football that much, but there was definitely a feeling in the air, wasn't there, of just like everybody was really confident about our chances for once.
It's so weird because like we never ever go down to London with that sort of sense of calmness, do we? But I think maybe that's been mirrored a little bit from like Alex Neil throughout the course of the last week when journalists are sat there pressing him, saying, you look really, really calm, and he's replying with, well, how else do you want me to be? And I think as a fan base, we've ultimately just sort of took that. I mean, and granted, we've took that with about 3 slabs of cans and bottles of gin and whiskey and stuff like that to ease the nerves as well. But no, you're absolutely right. I think I can't even put into words how many people I just sort of seen just kind of standing in awe, and they just could not understand what they were looking at, and the amount of people like who you maybe haven't seen in years and you're bumping into, and you just kind of pick up from where you've last left off. And like there's not a football club in the world who could have experienced what we've gone through over the past years and do what we do. And I know people going, it's the last 4 years, and it's not just the last 4 years. It's like it's the last 6. I mean, Christ, we fell out the Premier League, we fell out the Championship in disgusting fashion. We've had 4 awful years, and then you've got what, maybe 20, 30,000 people in Trafalgar Square, even though we're told not to go. And it was just, honestly, it was just such an amazing night. Everybody was in such good spirits. Nobody misbehaved. There was smoke bombs and flares and fireworks going off as far as the eye could see. There was ex-players. Robin Wright was in there. Grant Ledbetter was in there. Simon Ramsden, Chris Brown. I mean, the list's endless. And everybody just went down. And yeah, I mean, I said to you on Saturday morning when I seen you, I said, oh, I'm a bit nervous, but the more the day went on, yeah, you just knew everybody was so fired up for it. There was no way we were leaving there without winning that game.
I don't know whether it was you or which one of you used the word calm, but if you asked anybody who saw Sunderland fans over the weekend, whether it was on the trains, whether it was in the capital, I doubt the word that they would use was calm, because I mean I had there was a last minute dropout, so I invited, just because it was kind of late in the day and all this sort of stuff. It was the day before. I invited a lad who lives in Essex, who kind of I've known for quite a few years. So he kind of came as not he never experienced anything like this before, and he came out with us the night before, and he joined in on the day and all this sort of stuff, and he just couldn't believe that around one 90-minute game we made such a kind of long weekend of it. And he couldn't believe Friday. He said on the Friday, because we didn't actually make it at Trafalgar. We thought, oh, we'll go to the pubs on the way to Trafalgar, and then the shots started and all that sort of stuff, and we ended up just I don't know, going in the wrong direction or whatever. But he came out and he said, wherever you went in London, the tubes, it doesn't matter whether you're in the centre, Trafalgar Square, pubs, restaurants, just there was just Sunderland strips all over. All you could hear, you turned a corner and all you could hear was chanting from every direction. Doesn't matter where you were in central London, it was just Sunderland.
It was funny looking at all the ordinary Londoners trying to go about their daily business. Most of them didn't have a clue what was going on. They didn't know why all these people were here. Just totally appalled. Just didn't have a clue what was going on. We were in a lift at Russell Square tube station, because I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's horrendous. I think there's 200 steps and it's vertical. It's horrendous. And it's got this giant lift. And we got in this lift and me mate's messing around and this bloke, you should have seen his face. He didn't have a clue what was going on. I don't think that we shouldn't be allowed out the northeast. us lot, like, we're a bunch of idiots, really. But to be fair, in the main, I think people were respectful, and we generally behaved ourselves. I know you said, Craig, that we were told not to go, but we all knew, we could see through that a mile away. It was bullshit. Yeah. The Met put that tweet out, which set away a chain of sort of events on, as it does. It was out, spread like wildfire, and people were like, "Oh, should we go? Shouldn't we go? We're not going to be allowed to do it this year. What's people doing instead?" And I was quick to just say, just ignore it. All they want is they want less people there.
Aye.
They know people are going to turn up.
It's worth noting, by the way.
They just didn't want it to be too mental.
Yeah, it's worth noting. I mean, from my experience at least, the police were absolutely spot on in Trafalgar Square. They're absolutely superb.
Yeah. No, don't get us wrong. Yeah, I mean, last time we were there, they were tweeting about it and stuff, weren't they, and talking about how good it was. I just think since the Euros, there's been a bit of an attitude change, hasn't there?
We'd just been to Sainsbury's up the road, and I mean, I'd literally spent about 30 or 40 quid on drink, and we rocked down, and the police officer just said to me, she was like, "Look, I know what you've got in your bag. I'm just going to pretend that I'm not seeing what I'm seeing. Just please go in and behave." And I was like, "Yeah, no bother, absolutely fine." And then, yeah, like I say, I mean, it was just, you just kind of put into words. I mean, the videos and photos and all of that, there's a thread on the ROKER RAPPORT Twitter account, and you can just see so many happy faces, but it kind of put into, you know, kind of words or justice or really fully explained just what an amazing night it was, what an amazing weekend it was. It was incredible.
I was going to say, Gav, based on your YouTube appearance.
Yes.
If I was a cop, I wouldn't have known whether to put you in the police van or an ambulance, to be honest.
There's worse videos than that, trust us. I saw one yesterday. I don't think I've been that pissed since, well, probably since I went abroad, like Benidorm or something with my mate. I was horrendous. I'm a bit ashamed. Actually, no, I'm not. I enjoyed myself. So, yeah, I would point people in the direction of that particular video.
Go on, explain to the listeners. Go on. No, go on.
Well, I woke up on Saturday morning, checked my phone, and I had like 1 million messages from all over the place. DMs, private messages on ready to go, texts, Facebook messages. Was that you on Fans React Live? And I was like, eh. And then I scrolled back through our chat, and there it was, the video of me just talking absolute shite to Sean Middleton.
And Spider-Man.
I could have said worse things. Well, yeah, I did talk about his sexual exploits. I did. Poor Spider-Man. I might have done him a favour. You never know. There might have been someone watching that who thought they wanted a bit of him. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not. People are going to find that if they want to find it. But do you know what? I didn't even feel hungover when I woke up Saturday morning either. So God knows how I was in that state. I think my mate had a backpack full of shots, and well, we'd been on the drink since 8 o'clock in the morning. We just went ridiculous. I wasn't the only one. One of my mates pissed himself. And I'd be taken home at 8 o'clock. So what can I just ask you, because you obviously said you didn't head to Trafalgar, Chris. So what did your sort of first day look like in terms of where did it start?
I don't know. Can't remember. No, well, because obviously going from Sheffield, I went down from Sheffield early afternoon, and got going on the train and all this sort of stuff. Dumped the bags, but we thought because we were near Euston Station, we thought, right, well, we'll just wind our way in and get to Trafalgar Square. Just something went wrong on the way. I don't know what it was, but by the time we rocked up to Trafalgar Square, because I don't know where we ended up. I haven't got a clue where we ended up. But we accidentally walked back through Trafalgar Square when there was nobody there. So we kind of...
I bet that was a sight.
Oh, well, it was, because And I think we got shouted at by like the policemen and all this sort of stuff, and there was a few other kind of obviously council workers or whatever shouting at us because we came through. We just walked right through the middle of it, and I think they were starting to kind of clear it away because I don't know what time it was. There was literally nobody there by that point, so it must have been early hours or whatever. But we got shouted at because we walked right through the middle, and actually because he was shouting at us because it was obviously dangerous because there was that much glass on the floor. We were trying to tiptoe through to actually get to the other side. We were trying to cut through. But they were shouting at us to kind of go to the nearest point to get out of the glass because we were just walking through this sea of glass on the floor. And it was, mind, I mean, there was like 3 or 4 of us and we looked around, we were like, bloody hell. I mean, the mess was unbelievable by that point. Like I said, it was just a sea of glass all over Trafalgar Square, cans and boxes and you name it. You name it, it was on the floor.
That's not good. It's not good, but at the same time, I don't think there's any bit. They're not allowed to put bins out anywhere.
Well, they said actually because we talked to people on Saturday who were there, and they actually said there was people going around with bags. Or actually, police were going around with bags to say, stick your stuff in there. But I doubt there was enough of them. Like,
no. What was yours like then, Craig? Where did you start off?
Well, I got the megabus down, which I do not recommend to it. No, honestly.
How long did that take?
I left my house. I sneaked out the house to make sure I didn't wake the kids up about 6:15 Friday morning. Got to Park Lane, and I didn't realise it'd be so many. Stupidly, didn't realise it'd be so many Sunderland fans there. And obviously, you're not allowed to drink on the megabus, which, in fairness, everyone kind of obeyed that. It's not like going on ALS all those years gone by where you just like sneak stuff on in a Sprite bottle or whatever. So I think when I first seen you actually at King's Cross, that's when I was making the journey over from like Victoria, and it felt like ages. So as soon
don't remember seeing you, by the way.
I honest to God, I mean we literally had about 3 or 4 different meetings over the weekend, but by the time I got to the digs in King's Cross, like literally as soon as I got in, I was like, I'm gonna have a shower because obviously I've been travelling from like 7:15 or whatever from Park Lane all the way down till about 2:00. And I literally just had a can in the shower whilst getting ready for it. And I think because I didn't have anything to eat for me dinner or anything like that, it literally just headed south pretty quickly for me. And I think by about 11 o'clock that night, I was absolutely arseholed to the point where I was like, I think I need to go back to my bed here. But no, it was great. I mean, headed over from King's Cross to Covent Garden. It was absolutely packed there. Again, everybody in good spirits, everybody having a great time. The pub, the Nag's Head, I think it's called. I mean, the toilets in there, Christ almighty. I'm sure lots of people will understand, but it was swimming, absolutely swimming in piss. It was awful. But the staff in there were brilliant. Everybody was having a great time. Neutrals were walking through, taking photos and videos. And soon as went round to Trafalgar, I think that's where it kicked in, and it just went into overdrive, and it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. I didn't get to experience it the last 2 times. My daughter, she was only young, so we didn't really have childcare. So I kind of made up for that. And I think what time did I wake up Saturday morning? It was before 6 o'clock again. It was just the excitement. It just sort of kicked in. And obviously my body clock's used to it with being up with kids. But as soon as I woke up, I was like, right, I need to get me breakfast and I need to just get into match day mode here. And as soon as I headed up Wembley Way into Box Park, which was mint, to be fair, by the way. I know a lot of people had reservations about going in there because it looked a bit, sort of like manufactured atmosphere type, but it was quality. It was absolutely class. All the old players in there. I was waffling on Ian Holloway for about 10-15 minutes as well. It was just brilliant. Everything about the weekend was absolutely quality.
Well, I was going to say, just on that wander back, I was saying we're wandering back. Well, I ended up walking around London for about an hour and a half because I didn't know what direction I was going in, couldn't work my phone, nothing like that. And then didn't realise that a mate of mine was doing exactly the same thing, and we'd been wandering around for about 2 hours on our own, and suddenly we kind of came to this road, and we were both at the end of the road and saw each other, and it ended up like one of those things of Baywatch in slow motion. And then I realised we were running together, and he had this big pile of food in his hand, and I gave him a big sloppy kiss, and we managed to actually get home together. But we tried to get him one of those rickshaws when there was like 3 of us, and he must have took one look at us and combined weight of about 60 stone or something. And You should have seen the panic on his face when he was just shaking his head, saying, "No chance, lads. No chance." We were like, "What?" Just all we wanted was a German doner kebab, and he wouldn't take it.
Like I say, I started 8 o'clock Friday morning on the train. Actually, I suppose I could say a little bit. Probably 7 o'clock, getting on the metro through to Central Station in Newcastle. Got on the train at 8. We had a full carriage to ourselves, which was great. So we had all the tables, we had the music on and stuff. And then it was just mental from there, really. But you were just talking about when at Covent Garden, Craig, that was great and all. I don't know how much that's really been talked about, but just sort of outside the Nag's Head, I think in 2014 when Trafalgar Square was shut.
Yeah, we all went there, didn't we?
That was the main congregation point, and sort of since then, like every time we've been, it started there. And I was with there was about 20 of us down there this weekend. I mean, mate Ross, a lot of people will know him off Twitter. Ross is a photographer, pretty popular on Twitter and stuff because of his photos on match days and stuff. Anyways, he took his camera out with him and he was getting photos of people at Covent Garden and stuff. And unbelievable, some of the pictures he's got of people, and we were just getting people to turn around, sort of smile, kids on people's shoulders, people with flags, people with flares. And like you say, the coppers, to be fair, were pretty good, but every time someone lit a flare or a smoke bomb, they were straight over trying to put it out. But it didn't deter people, to be fair. I mean, pyros went a bit mental on it. And yeah, we headed up to Trafalgar from there, and to be honest, it was a blur for me after that. Don't really remember much about the night at all. Next thing I remember being in a Vietnamese restaurant on my own at about 1 or 2 in the morning. So I can remember eating spring rolls, and I remember eating a egg fried rice on my own, just sat there. And then it took us nearly an hour just to get a taxi, and I got ripped off big style. He wanted 30 quid up front to take us about a mile, but I paid it just because by that point I was sick. I just wanted to get back home. Woke up really early. Like I said, I'd been bombarded with texts and videos of me absolutely horrendous at Trafalgar. And yes, I'm not proud, but it is what it is.
Well, just the morning after, I just want to say a quick thank you at Euston Travel Lodge, and they might know, if they ever listen to this, they might know who they are. But there was 2 lasses, and I was feeling rough on Saturday morning. Went for breakfast, and they'd paid like a tenner for their whole breakfast buffet and all that sort of stuff. They piled their plates up, and they sat down, and they looked ill. They just took one look at it and they just pushed it to one side and ran back to their room. And after that, I thought, actually, I didn't feel too bad. I'm all right now.
Aye, so Saturday, we done the same. Headed for breakfast. I couldn't stomach it. I made myself, we had breakfast included. And I took one look at my sandwich. I had like a mouthful and I was like, I can't eat that. No way. I felt horrendous. But then by the time we got through to Box Park, because I was there, most of us, to be fair, from ROKER Report were there. As soon as I had my first pint, I felt brand new again. That was brilliant. And like you say, Craig, the atmosphere was unreal in there. Like I would recommend, if we ever get back there, people just buy tickets for that, because it was excellent. I mean, imagine the Stack, but on roids, massive. And it was just full. It was rammed full of Sunderland fans, and it was easy to get served. Aye. And it was pretty cheap for London. It was like £5 a pint. I think we were getting 4-pint pitchers, and they were 18 quid. And to be fair, there was probably 5 pints in them. They were overfilling them. So that's not bad, really, is it? 5 pints, 18 quid for London. Plenty of places to eat and stuff. But yeah, most importantly, the atmosphere was class. I mean, you just touched on it there. They got Lee Howie, Gordon Armstrong, Martin Smith, and
Darren Williams
up on stage, yeah. They just sort of asked them a couple of questions about the game and what have you, and to be fair, they just used it as a chance to start songs off, and it was mint.
Oh, they were in there.
Lee Howie's first words were Lee Howie, Lee Howie, Lee Howie, and the place erupted. It was brilliant. And then the DJ asked each of them, who's the one player you would love to, if you could, who's the one player you would love to smash one more time? And at the very end of the row was Darren Williams, and it got to him and he said, Alan Shearer. I can't stand him. And then the place just went, whoa, just went absolutely mad. Like, it was great. Like, that was the perfect way to get up for the match. Like, everyone who was in there will have been as hungover as I was. as soon as you got back on the beer and you were in amongst the atmosphere, that was it. And then by the time I got to the ground, I mean, I'd seen you two, and I said the same to everyone I spoke to. I said, we're going to batter them. I said, I was so confident. It might have been the drink talking, but I was really confident. There wasn't a shred of doubt in my mind we weren't gonna win that game.
But normally when I'm going up Wembley way, that's where the nerves kind of set in a bit. And it was a little bit before going to the Box Park, but when I came out, I remember saying to you, like, oh, see, I feel a bit nervous. And I'll remember this for a while. You're like, no, we're going to beat them 3-0, this, that and the other. And I think it wasn't until I got round like the corner and I got on the ground then, and then you're seeing like a sea of red and white. And I mean, to be fair, look, they brought a lot of fans for Wickham, but it was when you're just seeing just the sheer number of how many Sunderland fans were in that ground. And I think it was at that point for me, I was like, there's no way we're not winning this game today. Everybody just seemed just so up for it. And normally there is like that sort of like worry, bit of like anxiety at Wembley, isn't there? I mean, in the past where we've scored against Charlton and everyone was still biting their fingernails and stuff like that, but everybody from the minute go was just 100% up for it. I mean, there's a video doing the rounds on the socials now, and they had to delay singing the national anthem basically because Sunderland fans would not stop singing. And I mean, it was like that for 90 minutes. It was just relentless, just wave after song. And I watched it back, I think, like twice yesterday. And there's a period in the second half, and all you can hear for about 15 minutes solid is Sunderland take over everywhere we go. Mm. And like I tried to explain it, like to my wife, to friends and that who weren't there. You just cannot put into words just the noise of the place. I've never experienced anything like it. It was incredible.
No, I was the same as you, Craig. I came. We'll come on to this later, but I came back from the match on match day. I was going to stay over. I've got a mate who lives in North London, and I was going to stay with him and have another night, and I bottled it. I was just like, I'm going home. And we got the train back, and anyways, I'll get onto this, but I ended up staying at our lass's mum and dad's in Doncaster, and I was just trying. They're not really into football, and I was trying to explain to them, and they were like, "Oh yeah, but you just can't get it across to people who weren't there how good it was." No. Yeah. Like, and I watched the full thing back yesterday, the full 4 hour coverage that Sky put out, and they were there while I had it on, and even then, it just doesn't quite get it across, even though it was brilliant. You can't. It was just amazing to be there.
You know, when you think about the kind of to and fro that Wickham did, about the tickets, where they were like wondering whether to give us extra tickets and that, I honestly think it made a massive difference. And I think, if I was a Wickham now, I'd be questioning why they gave us so many tickets, because
it was a home game in the end.
It made such a difference. It was like the Stadium of Light, and the last 2 times we've battered them at the Stadium of Light. But that's how it must have felt for the Wickham players, because all you could hear was Sunderland fans, and we were on pretty much all, apart from behind the goal. We basically had 3 sides of the whole stadium, to be honest. But I was going to say, after the game, Gav, I know you said you were away, but it was weird, that the final whistle went, you were just, all you were doing was cheering and all this, and then the trophy, and then they were walking around, they did the bit lap of honour. And then after that, you just saw everyone was kind of looking at each other going, right, well, what do we do now? How do we celebrate this? We've won at Wembley. What do we do now? And we just did exactly the same. We just got straight into London, straight back on it, and and then can't remember much after that. But it was just that feeling, wasn't it? We've never felt this before. What do we do? There's no plan. There's no people just don't know.
I listened to the BBC Newcastle podcast this morning, which is basically just the after-match coverage off the radio, and Marco Gabbiadini said this has just turned into the biggest karaoke session ever, and it was. There was like Oasis playing, there were everything, and we all just got into it. It was just a massive party. The atmosphere was unbelievable. Like I said it at the top, I've never in my life had a better experience as a fan.
Again, just talking about that lad who come, he just short trip from Essex, and he came in. He was saying, because again, when we went out into London on the Saturday night, I mean, again, the central, wherever you went, whatever tube station you went in, whatever street you were on, whatever road you were on, whatever pub you were in, if you went into McDonald's, if you went into a Burger King, if you went into a kebab shop, you were surrounded by Sunderland fans chanting the same chants all over London. And he just said, at the end of it, I mean, he had 2 days with us, and he just said, I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen one group of people take over. I mean, I know that it's kind of, I'm saying it because that's a chant, but I'm not saying it because of the chant. We genuinely did. We were all over. Even on the train, I got the train back up from London yesterday, and there was just like a group of girls who'd gone to London for the weekend, and all they were talking about, they were actually saying their weekend was spoilt because they didn't get to see a lot of London just because everywhere was packed with Sunderland fans.
Yeah, I mean, it might come across as a little bit obnoxious for us to say, we took over and we ruined people, but it's the point being is like, as a fan base, we've been through the worst times ever. Club nearly went bust. Let's be honest. If it hadn't been for a number of things coming together, we could have went bust. We could have been the next, disaster story. We dropped 2 leagues in 2 seasons. We've sat here for 4 years and been to Wembley on 2 occasions as fans and seen us lose. Haven't had a really good sort of build up like we did, this weekend gone. But had it ruined by the actual football. And last year, finally win that Wembley, but none of us were allowed to be there. So with that in mind, like, who gives a shit? We deserved to enjoy ourselves, and nobody's going to take that away from me. Like, the amount of sort of, to be honest, I don't really want to talk about them that much, but like mags who I know and mags I've seen on Twitter and so, look, the Sunderland for it's only the playoffs and that. You don't get it. You don't get it at all. Nobody gets it unless you've been in our shoes for the last 4 years. Yeah. And that's why we all enjoyed ourselves. That's why we all went away and spent a ridiculous amount of money at short notice, like 50-odd thousand of us turning up in the capital just to have a big party, because it's been shit. It's been shit playing in League One. It's been shit having to play teams like Wickham every week. It's been shit spending 2 years trying to follow your club behind COVID rules and stuff, not be able to go to the games, missing out on that Wembley win last year. It's been shit. So I'm not going to apologise for enjoying myself.
No,
simple as that.
I think it's worth noting as well, in our time in League One, there's been this weird kind of like snobbery / reverse snobbery about us, in terms of like, well, have you seen the way Sunderland have celebrated the goal there? Like, they used to be in the Premier League then. Have you seen how many Sunderland fans they've took to Morecambe or this, that and the other? And like, there's such this self-entitlement, blah-de-blah. And it's like, there's not. And there's never been that arrogance there, contrary to this popular belief. And look, despite watching the Sky commentary back, and they were like, these deserve to be in the Premier League and stuff like that. As a fan base, we haven't actually said that. Like, those words have never come out of our mouths. We went into this league, we didn't want to be here, but like, we embraced it. Admittedly, we thought we were going to be there for 1 season and out. That was the way it was always supposed to be. But when you've spent somewhere for almost half a decade, like, and everyone going, you're League One? And we went, well, yeah, look, we are League One. And like, we're finally getting out. And the last time we dropped into the Championship, obviously, it was minging. The mood around the club. Ellis Short had switched the taps off, but now we're going into the Championship and like, just the right sort of sense of direction now. And like, although look, there's a lot about ownership and percentages and all that sort of shit, and I'm never going to dismiss that. I know rightfully people have got the concerns, but that's for another day. But like, everybody put that to bed, and like, we all turned up at Wembley with just one thing in mind. It was just pure unity, and everybody was so together about it. So like, people can like laugh at us and they can take the piss or whatever, and like, but the way I look at it, it's like you said, Gav, we literally lost 18 months of our lives behind closed doors. And my mate who I was with, he nearly died last year. Like, he was literally days from death's door. And lo and behold, when Ross Stewart scored the second, like, literally both burst into tears. Like, because it was like, it's our time now. Like, literally, I sobbed and sobbed. And I know I'm not the only one, because I was looking around, there's families, there was kids, men, women and children, all in tears. And it's because it means so much just to escape it all, and just to finally feel on the right footing, and to finally get us in the right direction. And like I say, look, it's going to be a difficult season, and it's going to be, obviously up in the air what happens now, who stays, who goes, what happens with Alex Neil and the ownership and stuff like that. But for at least the next couple of days, we're going to milk this for everything it's worth, because you're talking about the best experiences we've had. I mean, I would always say Phil Bardsley at Old Trafford was one of the best moments I've had following Sunderland, but full time at Wembley the other day, just like you, I've seen us promoted so many different ways in the past, but to do it at the best stadium in the world, Elvis on the PA afterwards, everybody's flags and scarves in the air, you honest to God, you just cannot put a price on that. It's just the greatest experience in the world.
Yeah.
You know what, the way you two have just summed it up there. I mean, you have both just talked about it there, and I felt this as well after the final whistle. It felt like for Sunderland fans all over, whether you're in the stadium or not, it just felt like a release, a massive big release of just relief, and just, that finally, because I mean, we talk about 4 years in League One, and everyone goes, oh, it's been 4 tough years. For me, if I look back, you've got the year in the Championship, and then you've got years of struggle in the Premier League before that, where we were surviving on the last day, where it was, for the most part, it was pretty miserable. Like, even in the Premier League, it was pretty dark, because every year we were looking like we were going to go down. So it was a full of misery. So you're talking maybe 8, 9, 10 years of just struggle, and that we've never really had this. We're actually successful, and I mean, to go to Wembley and do it, and all the tension that comes with that, all the kind of stress that it gives Sunderland fans going to Wembley, and the fact that we think we're going to get beaten, all this sort of stuff. And we went to Wembley and we did it. And you saw that when like you said, when Elvis came on after the final whistle and everybody started singing, it was just a release that everyone, you looked around. I mean, I saw Rich in the next block, Rich and ROKER Report. He was in the next block. We're just looking at each other, pointing at each other, and we're just giving, the fist pumps and that, and staring at each other and kind of giving it that, just because it looks like we've turned a corner, and for once we're on the up, and it's been so long since it's felt like that. I just think all Sunderland fans just went, right, don't care, just going for it. I'm enjoying it. Don't care. I'm not worrying about what comes next. Not worrying about all the issues that might come with it. Just enjoying the time, and that's it. And then we'll crack on later. We'll think about that in a few weeks' time.
Craig, you said you were going to milk it for a few days. I think maybe a bit longer for me, and maybe at least a few weeks. We're going to hopefully be back possibly tomorrow or the next day to actually talk about the match. We haven't talked about it at all, and that wasn't our intention today. It was just to sort of summarise our weekend away, because you can sort of put the two aside, can't you? You've got the match itself, and you've just got the whole experience of the weekend, and we wouldn't be doing either justice if we try to fit it all into one podcast. So we've got plenty coming up still over the summer. We're not going anywhere. Also for our sanity, if we didn't do this, then God knows what I'd do. And also on the website, on rokerreport.com, there'll be plenty of stuff. So for now, we'll catch you later. Cheers.